Whilst the good and the great of the establishment tie themselves in knots over whether the plan to process asylum cases in Rwanda is legal, moral or workable, what they seem to have forgotten is that, sorry, you can't just wander into another country. Try wandering into North Korea, Russia, Singapore, Iran or China. Good luck with that. They wouldn't get caught up in the intricacies of the European Convention on Human Rights or Supreme Court judgments. These, of course, are dreadful regimes, but they do understand how to maintain their geographical boundaries. But the woke West seems to think that it's its duty to tolerate porous borders, that it's somehow politically incorrect to know who's coming into our country and to decide the numbers. That's not empathy, that's not political correctness. It's a failure of their duty. It is surrender. When did it become controversial to police your borders? We pay a huge portion of our income to the state, whose prime task is to protect the national boundaries of the country. And they can't even do that, let alone give you a GP appointment this side of Christmas. If the state cannot defend its own geography, then what is it for? This doesn't just feel logistical, with worried lawyers obsessing over convention. It feels ideological. Last weekend, The Telegraph reported that Home Office civil servants are trying to block the Rwanda plan. The truth is, we have individuals working in the heart of government who believe in a relaxed immigration policy at best and open borders at worst. That's fine, but please understand that with more people entering the country illegally, that bill of £8 million a day to accommodate them in hotels will grow. Communities will be further impacted by the influx. And the ongoing economic, humanitarian and national security nightmare of these crossings, organised by unscrupulous criminals, will only get worse. Mainstream politicians of all colours have massively failed on this issue, with any political will to tackle this crisis thwarted by unelected, unnamed bureaucrats in Whitehall. The North London chattering classes within the media, government and the civil service can convince themselves that public anger about this will go away, but let me tell you, it will only deepen. And the public will ultimately choose a more extreme political answer to tackle the problem, an outcome we do not want. Now, I've got growing respect for Emmanuel Macron, the French president. He was very honest with his own people last month, saying that France cannot accept the misery of the world. It's a very sad sentiment, awful that that's the world we live in. But it's true, and he's right. In the end, failure to stop the boats and the failure to have a sensible, unemotional national conversation about legal net migration, which is almost 700,000 a year at the moment, risks a democratic and social crisis for this country. The riots we saw in Ireland last month will be like the Queen's Garden Party by comparison. Now, those riots were a disgrace, but they were also a warning of what happens if you ignore genuine public concerns about vast, unsustainable levels of migration into a country. If the state cannot stand up for the very definition of what a country is, its geography, its boundaries and its nationhood, it will fall. The political, media and bureaucratic elite don't realise it yet, but current rates of legal and illegal migration are an existential crisis for the country. Ignore it at your peril.